Hi there, welcome to another video. This is Vincent Yu from Siren Security, and in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about Azure Apps for command and control. So we know that Azure Apps have actually been used for subdomain takeovers for quite a long time, and we can see Starbucks being quite rewarding on HackerOne for subdomain takeovers, and also Red Hat Enterprise Linux has been you know, honed as well in the past, right? And we can see this being a major issue and it's increasing, right? And some of the organizations out there are actually addressing these issues and they understand the risks of these issues. But even so, this is a major problem right now because it's, on Azure, it actually happens quite often. And I've written a whole blog post about that, which I'll be publishing soon. I'm just making this video right now to attach to the rest of the blog post. So I'm going to go over a quick demonstration over how a subdomain takeover works, and then also how we're going to exploit it, how we're going to use a Flask application I created as a quick proxy that I've written. It's basically quite hacked together, so don't expect any professional coding here. It's here to just basically proxy all the traffic to a different domain that I control, and I can use as a attacker C2. I'm going to use Cobalt Strike for the command and control server, so we'll see how that all works using a hijacked subdomain takeover. So you might be thinking, actually, this is all great, but it's actually useless in a real environment, right? Or for penetration testing purposes for our customers. Well, actually, no, even though we can't take over random subdomains, even though they're all vulnerable, we can actually from my experiences, right, I've actually seen some of our customers vulnerable to subdomain takeovers, even in our attack simulations. And in those cases, I was able to actually take over some of their domains and use it for command and control to hide from their blue team. And other than using it for command and control, you can even use it for phishing domains, for example, so that you can actually host a login prompt, for example, to phish their employees if that was part of the engagement. So, there's a variety of uses outside of just the C2, but I'll go into it and how this makes it a lot easier. On Azure Apps, you actually have to deploy a Python application or any other fancy code, Node.js, all of that sort of stuff. But I just went for a Python Flask application that proxies everything to a server, and then all you have to do is just use a server as you would normally, and yeah, and it'll be served on the domain. So we'll go over that, and for those that prefer a video to learn from, here you go. I'm going to go over it. What we're going to do today is I'm going to hijack this domain that I've set up in a vulnerable state. So in terms of a subdomain takeover, we can see here hansel.megadup.icu actually points to my vulnerable app.azurewebsites.net. There are actually other Azure app specific subdomains, but this one's the latest one, right? The other one's a legacy. We can actually exploit all of them still. I'm not going to cover it in this quick video. But we can see here that my vulnerable app is actually vulnerable to subdomain takeover. So what I'm going to do is I'll take over this domain now. So if I go to my Python docs folder, which I've just created as a template, and then I've actually modified this application file, and I've changed the redirector URL and changed it back to HTTP because I'm not going to use HTTPS because I have to get certificates onto Azure, which I don't want to do. And the redirector is set here. After that's done, all you do is you type in AZ web app up, name my vulnerable app, so copy whatever was in the vulnerable location. Why is this vulnerable? It's because it doesn't actually resolve to an A record, which usually means the Azure website is not actually occupied, so you can take it. And I'm going to use plan F1 because I've used premium instances in the past and I got charged like 200 US over a couple of days, so I'd rather not go through that again. So if we give it a bit of time, it's going to run through. Okay, after a few minutes of waiting, we can now see that it's all done, and I can visit the website at this location that it says in the URL. So if we click on that and actually fix this, it'll actually load the web page that I've set up. Here we can't see anything because I've not hosted anything yet. To go ahead and just clone the website. So here we can see that there's the website. Alright, so at this point you've got the website and you know that the domain works fine, and it's actually pointing to the command and control server. What we can then do is, if we go to the actual instance that we just created, click on it. If you wanted to set up SSL, you would do it in here. There's SSL settings and there's bindings, etc. But I'm going to use custom domains here. Actually, if we go back and dig the hansolo.megacorp.icu again, if I can type it right, we can see that the whole state has changed and it now points to an A record because we occupy it. But what we can do is if we add a custom domain of hansolo.megacorp.icu, validate it, it will actually validate fine because it's because it's available, and then we just click add custom domain and it begins adding the custom domain. We can see that it says it's not secure because it's only serving over HTTPS. We need to add an SSL binding if we want to use HTTPS. I'm not going to do that because I don't need to. Right, so now if we go to hansolo.megacorp.icu, we can actually see the same website being loaded. So at this point, the takeover is actually being completed and it's pointing directly to our C2 server. What I'm going to do now is I'll show that the command and control is working. So if I go to this VM here that I've got set up, I've got a beacon here, which I generated using this SSH config. I mean, not this is SSH config, this cobalt strike config, which is just hansolo.megacorp.icu, which is the subdomain takeover. I generated the beacon payload and then I execute it. A shell now, and the shell's just come in. So at this point, what we can do is we can actually start interacting with the beacon, and we can see it works as a fully working, beacon as usual. We can, we can take screenshots and all of that good stuff as well. The full two-way C2 actually works. So let's see. I should be able to get a screenshot. Okay, receive screenshot. We can actually view the screen. So as you can see from this demo, two-way command and control works, and yeah, happy hacking. I hope you've learned something from this video. Get in touch if you've got any questions. Cheers, bye.